Hey all, thank you very much for tuning in today. I hope you guys are having a most excellent day. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. Today we're going to be asking the all-important question of, are there furries in the Marvel Universe? So let's roll that intro and have a look. So there's a lot of characters in the Marvel Universe that probably would appeal to furries in some sense or another. Things like Wolverine or Spider-Man, where, they've got animal names in their characteristics, but they're not actually furries. But what I'm looking for today is, characters that, could be considered actual furries, as in, like me and you, go to furry conventions, that type of thing, not just, characters with animal names or animal appearances. So while I would love to include things from like the Anthro universe, I think it's, Earth 8311, where it's like, you got everyone's an anthropomorphic animals, and you got like Captain America and Nick Fury and things like that. I'm not going to include them because, while technically they are furries, they're not furries. So we're going to be looking for characters who, would be part of the fandom if they were in the real world. So Hulk bunnies and Captain America aside, you might be thinking the first character I'm going to be looking at today is a character called Squirrel Girl, who is a girl who can talk to squirrels and has a squirrel tail. You may be thinking, yeah, she's definitely a member of the furry fandom. But she was created decades ago, long before the furry fandom even really existed as a thing. So while she would, really classify as a furry, I'm not going to include her in today's list because, she's from before the furry fandom really existed as a whole thing. But what I want to look for is characters that, actually are furries, are members of the furry fandom in universe. With that in mind, I would like to present to you the character Goodness Silver, or Good Boy, from the Great Lakes Avengers. Now, the Great Lakes Avengers is a small series of comics done by Marvel that only ran for 4 issues before being cancelled in a rather anticlimactic appearance by Deadpool. But during that time, we meet a character called Goodness Silver and her brother, who are both, without a doubt, members of the furry fandom. So how do I know that? In the very first issue, we see Goodness drawing furries as a job. She is, in-universe an animator. She has got a room covered in pictures of furries and furry-related stuff. But more importantly, when she transforms into a giant anthropomorphic blue wolf, she calls it her Fursona, which, as we know, is a furry word invented by the furry fandom to describe your characters. So she calls her transformation her Fursona, which without a doubt confirms that the people creating this character and drawing this character had knowledge of the furry fandom and were aiming this character at furries as their target audience. Now, during the course of this comic, she does join the Great Lakes Avengers, which is a small group of Avengers centered around the Great Lakes in Northern America. And while they do try and tackle crime, they don't really get anywhere with that, and after 4 issues they are shut down. Which in my opinion is a damn shame, because this character is so awesome that, I want to see more of this. I also want to see more of her brother. Now, it is confirmed in the comic that her brother also transforms into a pink fox. It's theorized that pink fox is female, because when Goodness transforms, she becomes a male wolf. But it's not actually confirmed in canon that her brother also transforms into a different gender. But I do think, without a doubt, this confirms that, these 2 characters are furries. They're part of the furry fandom, because they use terms like Fursona, and they're always drawing furries, and everything about them is furry. They scream furry fandom. So without a doubt, these were targeted at furries. They are furry characters. And I'm actually suspecting that, the animator or the writer behind this comic book series may have been a furry themselves. Because why else would they include a furry character who is, has so many ties to the furry fandom, other than, they are a furry themselves? Of course, I actually have no proof of that, so, I can't be 100% of it, but, I like to think that it's true. And, I would really love to see more of the Great Lakes Avengers. I'd like to see them come out and do more comics about these guys. I'd like to even see, one of these Marvel series about this group, because I think it's a really good group. They were quirky, they were weird, some of them were a bit edgy, some of them were very edgy, but I think it was a really enjoyable 4 little comics. And I honestly think Marvel should at least continue the comic book series, give us more content with Good Boy and the others. So yeah, while there may be lots of characters in Marvel, might scratch a furry itch, this character, for definite, without a doubt, is definitely a furry character, part of the furry fandom, and aimed at furries as a target audience. So how cool is that? And I'm sure there's plenty of other characters in Marvel that, would be considered furries. And if you know of any, please drop them in the comments below. Let me know about any other characters you know in the Marvel Universe that are furries. But for definite, Good Boy or Goodness Silver is definitely a furry. Thank you very much for tuning in. You all have a great day. You have an excellent week. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, ta-ra! Found a few examples of that today. So let's have a look at that now for you guys to... character called Squirrel Girl. Comics in universe because they use things like